Welcome back to the LEC. Now, it might only be February here in Berlin, but it might as well be a barbecue up on the International Space Station because the stakes have never been higher. I am referring to, of course, Astralis versus Fnatic right here. Now, with this game, both teams have a chance to lock in 100% of scenarios in which they would have at least a tiebreaker. All right, relax a little bit. Here we go. What this means for the teams is the winner, you can see, guarantees them 100% of scenarios in which they have a tiebreaker. That is not the same as lock-in percentage. If we go ahead and switch that, you can see 87.5%. We would rely on what actually happens tomorrow. Now, if they do go 2-0, either team that wins, if they win again tomorrow, you'll see that lock-in percentage shoots up to 100%. Same thing can be said for Fnatic. You might be thinking, okay, win today, it looks great for you, but there's still a situation in which a win today would not result in a lock-in and would then result in a tiebreaker. This is, of course, if Fnatic wins today, you can see Astralis win tomorrow, and Fnatic were to lose, all of a sudden that lock would go to 50%, 100% chance of a tiebreaker. Same thing happens here if Astralis win today but lose to Koi tomorrow, and Fnatic go on to beat SK. We're back to a tiebreak situation. So, more of the story is you win both your games, you are in 100%, but a win today still leaves openings for the opposite team to have a chance to come back. This would be monumental for both of these organizations. Astralis, of course, want to reach their first ever bracket stage, and Fnatic would like to avoid missing their first ever bracket stage. So big stuff on the line here between these two teams.
Thank you, Ender, for setting the stage for this game. We're going to have suspense and excitement until the last day of regular season, but Guldborg, we only had bangers so far, and I think this game, given the stakes, is not going to miss also.
This is the game I looked forward to the most today, okay? And that's weird, because it's Astralis versus Fnatic. And I think in a day where all the games so far pretty much has been a banger, I'm hoping this one exceeds all of them.
All right, let's take a deeper look in the matchup and what we want to see here from both teams, starting with a game plan. What do we want to see on the side of Astralis? Which direction do you want to take?
Right, so I guess earlier today I said that I kind of expected Astralis to take this as well, so I feel like if I'm the one taking the word with Astralis, I'm getting them ready for the matchup. I think I just tell them that today we're keeping it simple. We're going to make it so there's the comfort, which for Astralis is the mid to late game where they team fight. It's don't int, just do your own thing. And be aware that you're your own worst enemy. If you can get through your early game and you got Kobbe to play for in the late game, or maybe, you know, Finn again on a gangplank, you have that late game.
Don't go with the gangplank thing again. It was weird.
Yeah, we need to relax.
I actually gave that to Finn, so maybe we'll see it later.
I mean, fair play. I mean, if I'm going to take Fnatic's side on this, I think obviously like neither of these teams have been super quick to like close out games. Haven't found a lot of wins between the two either. And Finn's gangplank is a concern with that comeback yesterday. Of course, it was required to give the opportunities over to the GP, but I'm honestly happy to give him the GP. I think a second phase ban may come into play because I don't see him picking that champion up in the first three. And if Wunder can be on something super safe, super chilling on the top side, the Gragas, of course, comes to mind. But any other sort of self-sufficient top laners like Cassante could also work. And I think he can nullify that individual matchup.
And I actually would have the same kind of thought process for Finn, right? I don't think we need to see him on anything fancy. I think you keep it on low resource. So to me, I'm thinking, nah, gangplank, then you would be happy with Astralis topside.
What about for the rest of the map, though? Because 1-1-3, we saw him struggling a bit. There's some champions he's been good at, but what would you prio here against Razork?
So, right, I think you throw the Viego straight out the window and you don't pick it up. I think what you need here is a champion that you can allow yourself to fall behind for in the early game, and you will still, even if something goes wrong, you will still have resources to play mid to late game with team fight. So I'm thinking Sejuani, Jarvan, champions where it's like, well, if it didn't go well, you know you can still have an impact in terms of setting up other players, and I think that's a good win condition to have.
That's the thing that I think Fnatic will be thinking about this, because Viego is 1-1-3's most played, but not 1-1-3. What am I? Yes, of course.
Yes.
I'm like double, triple trolling myself.
You're your own worst enemy.
Like
I was like, never mind. Anyways, most played, but that was like week one mostly that he was locking that in. Apart from that, was playing a lot of the early game aggressive jungler. So I think if Fnatic were to get Sejuani out of the pool, maybe if we see the Maokai ban come on the other side, just trade jungle bans, Maokai Sedge, get it out of there. He's going to be knocked to that next tier of pick. And I'd actually like to see Fnatic go a different direction. Maybe if he's going to be on a heavy ganking jungler, take a more farming route, get Prio in their bot lane, and look to invade off of that Prio in the red buff jungle.
Yeah, and down towards that bot lane, that's actually where I find the clear strength of Astralis, and especially when they're on blue side, because that means you have the easiest time of securing that bot lane. Ashe is open, great, that's a first pick. Ashe is gone, but Lucian is available.
Though? Because the 2 times that Astralis have played the Ashe, the first time it went to second phase, and the second time it was their second option to pick. So I think that Fnatic could leave it open and snag it on 1-2.
I think it's one of the most broken flicks there is right now. We just saw Team of Reddix go for it too, so I still think it's a power pick that you can go for. The other point I would say, if that is Ashe is not available, Lucian Nami is something you can go for. And even then, if all the bot lanes gets taken away, Kobbe is one of the few AD carries we also see on the Sire. So there's comfort in champions. That's not necessarily a priority.
I think it's entirely possible that the Ashe is left open and that Fnatic do take it. I do think if Ashe is removed from the play, that I'd actually love to see them go back to the engage supports. They're so comfy down there in the bot lane for Fnatic, and look to sort of copy how Mickey plays like the Nautilus, the Leona. Look for the level 1 all-ins and have jungle path down towards that bot side. Look to play off of that Prio to get into the enemy jungle, because I think if you can split the map away from bot lane, it gives so much room for Rekkles. Wunder's going to be fine on the top side, especially with the Grog. It's very hard to dive that champion. I think that could be almost their entire game plan in the early game.
Yeah, and of course, something like that would require to lock down the comfort picks per Finn, so he's actually under a lot of pressure if you were to split the map. But I think that's kind of the hard part as well for Fnatic in the ideal scenario. I also think just in general, with the bot lane, Fnatic so far has invested a lot of bans pretty much in all of their pick and ban on AD carries.
With the bot lane
yeah,
because
it's pretty much overloaded on that every time. And then to go for Astralis over the lane we haven't talked about yet, I would go into the mid lane. I think for Dajor, it's no secret that his laning phase is not his strongest trait, but we've seen him do insanely well in some high intense moments when he's been on the Silas gearing up for a team fight. And I even think that a champion like TF, which used to be his comfort pick, is something where, well, if you're not winning laning phase in mid lane, well, then at least you still have a leeway to enabling the rest of the map. And I think that's also something that Astralis could look for if they want to further their strength.
I want to take a step back here and focus a bit more on what's at stake here and the maybe mental aspect of the game, because as Astralis picked up an important win yesterday and we started seeing improvements for the team, Fnatic is still lacking identity, and I don't feel like we've seen something stable enough yet from them. Coming into this game, not an elimination game, but still an important one. What do we think of Fnatic's momentum compared to Astralis when it comes to taking them down?
I think, so for me, momentum doesn't really come into it, because even Astralis, I think, are going to feel like they stole away a win they didn't fully deserve yesterday. Like, Finn's GP popped off at the last moment, but like, they were backs against the wall in their base. I think for Fnatic, what they probably are thinking of is like, how can we, or I hope they're thinking of this, how do they like simplify how to execute in the team fights? Because I think there's been multiple moments we've sort of pointed out where they've looked disjointed, whether it's with the draft they have and more like individualistic champs in that, or the spacing options, Rekkles maybe stepping back when the rest of the team is going in, and then the spacing is scuffed for the rest of the fight. I think that they just need something that is easy to operate in the 5v5, or there's going to be trouble.
I will actually factor in the momentum. I will factor into the momentum that Astralis is coming off 2 victories, but I always take the other side of the coin and say that Fnatic is not. Fnatic is the team that's coming off the most struggles. Fnatic is the team with the most pressure. Fnatic is the team that people expected to not be in a situation like this. Remember, they've never made playoffs. And that was when it was 6 teams making it. Now it's 8th, and you're sitting at this point in time.
Never missed playoffs.
Never missed,
Yeah, never missed. Sorry. Very good clarification. Because Astralis, on the other hand, is the team that you don't expect to make playoffs. Astralis was the team where it's like, if you can get top 8, that's a success, and they are on the brink of making that.
Well, looking at the format, actually, given how unforgiving it can be, given the fact that you only play 9 best-of-1s and you have basically not many opportunities of bouncing back, is it the first time Astralis is going to make it to the group stage?
Yeah, I was going to say too, like, how does that, like, do we not count Origin?
No,
Yeah,
we don't talk about Origin.
Oh, sorry,
we don't talk about
I'm sorry,
Origin.
That's a different Origin story.
Never mind.
Yeah,
we don't say that. You know, but I think that Astralis, if they incorporate the similar ideas of motivation, work, improvement
team,
I think that they have what it takes to make top 8.
well, at least a better graphic design. But I actually think as well, like I'm on the boat for Astralis right now, and I am riding the momentum, I am riding the hopium, but once again, both teams here, this victory, it guarantees them the tiebreaker. It guarantees them the more breathing room going into tomorrow. So I think whoever takes it today, I mean, of course, puts themselves in the better situation going into tomorrow.
Yeah, we keep you updated because we have some small delays on stage. We're doing final check-ins now, and we should be ready shortly. But as we said, important game here for both teams, even if it's not a locking-in situation for them. I want to talk about the return of Rekkles.
Okay, wow, we're throwing
because I mean, you were in the music video, of course, and being one of your alter egos.
Yeah, I didn't get to be
the
there, so go ahead,
Rekkles
take it away.
Fans. Of course, it's been disappointing a bit here, but I think it's a tricky situation coming from a minor league to one of the biggest stage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've seen some of those LFL stages. They've got some pretty big ones. But yeah, I mean, I think that the first weeks were not the most thrilling for him, of course. But it's the first 3 weeks of the season. If you make it further on, you have a chance to redeem yourself.
And I want to believe that him being in difficult situations in the past maybe is the kind of pressure he needs to perform today.
When in doubt, pick Sivir.
When in doubt, pick Sivir. We'll see about this in just a few minutes because the players are already on stage. So let's see how the team executes on these win conditions as we get into picks and ban with Vedi. Take it away.
Woo! Thank you very much, Laure. Woo! Let's get into it, Vedi. The match of the week.
That's mean, Medic.
I mean, but it's...
That's mean. I know what you did there, and that's mean.
I'm excited for this one. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be a good one. Astralis and Fnatic fighting for their lives in the group stage. The winner of this game is guaranteed a tiebreaker game at least to make it into our group stage. At least.
At least.
Now, there are still ways. There are three-way ties with Koi. We'll bring up the standings in a bit, and we'll talk about why it's important. And also, we always play a tiebreaker game for 8th place, even if one team has the head-to-head over their opponent, because they've only played once, and side selection could have a factor into it. If you are tied on win-loss for 8th place, we will play a tiebreaker game, likely after the games tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll, of course, keep you updated during the game. They will update you after the game. You can go back in the VoD, and you can also watch Ender's explanation before the game. You're going to keep getting explanations.
We're going to have another one in PGL, I think.
So we'll keep you all updated. But for now, let's focus in on the draft. Maokai, Yuumi, Kassadin banned on the side of Astralis. Astralis were concerned about the scaling element coming out from Fnatic. We've seen Humanoids, Kassadin before, and they're going to remove some of that. Sejuani, Caitlyn, Ashe. So they are removing some of the power picks on the bot side of the map. Fnatic don't want to have to deal with them. But the Ryze priority, I wonder if Humanoid is a prevalent Cassio player. Unsurprisingly though, as Fnatic have repeatedly done throughout the split, they will lock in the Varus for Rekkles, and we will see Humanoid's Azir. For those that watched at the World Championship, an incredible performance from Humanoid. World class, many were touting him as the best performer, but typically during the regular season, this is not where we get to see peak Humanoid. There have been glimmers of peak Humanoid before. He has won All-Pro a fair few number of times, but this performance, this split, not been the strongest. Let's see if he can step it up today against Dajor as Lucian Nami, a powerful bot lane duo locked in for Astralis. And Kobbe, he certainly has been performing the split himself.
Oh, he's probably been the shining light on Astralis. So consistent, so strong. Sometimes his later game can be a little bit of a struggle in mid-game as well. Sometimes caught out of position, but it's always difficult when you're working with your team so closely and your team is struggling to have those excellent performances. Now, their Nautilus picked for rhuckz, an engaged support into the Nami, something we often see gives you that ability just to lock her down and try and get kills early in that bottom lane.
So Fnatic largely going for comfort. Rhuckz knows that he is an engaged support player. This is what we saw him play when he was at Worlds. Of course, it was on Leona, but the same principle applies. He's been very vocal about the fact that he prefers this type of playstyle, and by pairing it up with a Varus, it's a very heavy kill bot lane 2 versus 2 that you expect Razork to look to play towards. And we think back to last year when Fnatic was in their prime form. What was it? Razork on Poppy Trundle, repeatedly ganking bot lane, investment towards Upset and Hylissang, and we'll see if they can repeat that level of excellence here today against Astralis. Fiora being banned away alongside the Elise, Fnatic removing some of those early game jungle options that Razork could have gone towards. I am now thinking something like a Viego, and I was going to say Wukong, but of course that's now been removed from the side of Astralis, so I wonder, no, they're instead going to remove the Jax. Now, K'Sante is this blindingly bright pick that both teams are saying, hey, do you perhaps want to pick this one up? Question is, will they go in that direction? Because we know that Wunder is happy to play the Gwen into the matchup.
Yesterday we had such a strong performance from Finn on that gangplank as well, scaling in the top lane. Really the reason that Astralis were able to pick up that win. Vi, though, locked for Fnatic. A strong jungler gives you a huge amount of CC. As a composition, they have a great team fight so far. Chase potential alongside initial engage and pick potential. Astralis trying to build a similar comp and lacking a little bit of engage at the moment, I would say.
True.
With the Maokai bound away, that's one. There's the Trundle for 1-1-3.
Okay.
I wonder if it's going to be something like an Ornn in the top lane. Instead, the Gnar for Finn.
They're keeping it simple, right? And I think that you're right. I think that their engage is not the strongest, but I think their side lane threat is very real. Their early skirmishing in their early game, very powerful. We know that Fnatic throughout this split has not had the strongest early game performances. They did have one good early game, which they then very quickly lost.
Yep.
But we know that this is a strat that can be very effective against this Fnatic squad, especially if they are going to be very bot focused. But it does feel like more comfort is coming out. Wunder, very experienced on the Aatrox. It was pretty much the meta last split.
Yep.
Every single top laner was forced to play it, and we know that it can be a very good matchup into the Gnar as well. He's largely going to be playing on the safe side of the map, and I expect heavy investment into Rekkles and rhuckz in the bot lane 2 versus 2. But Astralis, they can do the exact same thing. Trundle is just a powerhouse in these early skirmishes, especially against someone like a Vi. If you catch her without a Q, she's going to be in trouble. There's no way that she's going to be able to beat you in the isolated 1v1. And you look at Trundle plus Ryze as a mid-jungle duo, very potent, very powerful if you just go for those straight-up fights. So I think that there's a lot of early game agencies in the hands of Astralis. Their engage is not the most reliable. I do think that Fnatic have better scaling when it comes to the 5v5, and if they can get to that point, that's great. But the question becomes, can Astralis build a big enough of a lead, and can they run away with it to shut Fnatic down before they even have a chance to get the fights that they're looking for?
It hasn't really been Astralis' playbook so far this split. Obviously only have 2 wins so far, one up against Excel and one up against SK yesterday. Fnatic obviously only have 2 wins as well. Excel and Koi have fallen to them. Yesterday, Fnatic really struggled against Mad Lions. A lot of aggression in the early game, but came to naught. In fact, came to less than naught. It was negative for them. We'll see how they can perform this game as Astralis take on Fnatic. Alright, as we get into the game and everyone draws their lines of scrimmage, it does look like Fnatic might go in, but I think I have a moment before they do. I just want to talk a little bit about what this game means in terms of standing. So both Astralis and Fnatic at 2 and 5 right now. A win here would take you to 3 wins in total, which would tie you up with Koi. Obviously, we still have 1 more day of League of Legends to play. That means that either Fnatic or Astralis could win another game tomorrow, and then once again get to, if you win 2 games in a row, it's 4. If you win 1, lose 1, you get to 3, right? Importantly, if Koi, Fnatic, and Astralis, or even just Astralis and Fnatic, are tied for 8th place at the end of tomorrow, even though one of them will have the head-to-head because one of them will have won this game, we will play a tiebreaker game between them. That's because it feels a little bit unfair, in fact it is a little bit unfair, to define whether or not you go through to our group stage based on side selection. One team here, as we see, Astralis has the blue side in the LEC only has a 40% win rate this split. Red side has a 60% win rate.
Yep. So that tiebreaker will be played basically for that 8th place regardless. Of course, if we do end up in a 3-way tie, there are some other factors to take into account, but we're not going to go there because it's a little too complicated to talk about in-game. So let's focus in now on the game. That ward has been spotted out by Fnatic. Razork will sidestep it. Our expectations are that he will look for a play in bot. Rekkles taking a lot of damage here. rhuckz playing a little defensively. Doesn't want to lose any more HP than necessary. 3 pots available to Rekkles. Does have the Hail of Blades back up, and I'm keeping my eye on Razork. We need to keep our eye on 113 as well. We do think he'd do a full bot side clear. He's going to walk straight over that ward. He knows it's there. Yeah, we'll clear that one out. There's mid as well. Humanoid has a light push. Oh, he's just moving into the enemy jungle. Razork knows exactly what's going on. And 113 is denying the potential for an early game gank. This is great from 113. Really great awareness. Knows that his bot lane currently has the push as you would expect, but now he's also isolating Razork from assisting them. The thing about range supports, Fnatic are very familiar with this. The second you get one kill on them, the second you burn their flash, as an engaged support, it becomes very difficult to stop the onslaught, but Fnatic is looking for a fight.
113 already level 3, JeongHoon coming in as well. The flash chase from 113, JeongHoon looking for the bubble as well, and Razork has nowhere to go! 113 on the board, the Troll King finds first blood.
Of course, Razork not able to get level 3, doing red into blue into wolves. There's not enough XP. 113, knowing that he has the level advantage, is able to find that collapse. And first blood goes to Astralis. We talked about the power of this Trundle early on. And he's able to prove it. And I think he can actually. Look at the push in top, look at the push in mid. Dajor doesn't have any mana, so maybe that's why they're a little concerned looking for that fight. But Razork respects the fact that those Raptors could be stolen and going straight towards his Rhuckz.
And it just puts Razork at such a bad timer in this jungle. Loses his Gromp, loses his life, loses his flash. And you could see Kobbe and JeongHoon were just waiting to team up with their jungler here because they had that prio in the bottom lane.
And you have to question what Fnatic is doing here. You felt like that they were conceding that. If they wanted to challenge that, they should have been looking to challenge it earlier. But the fact that he was able to just clear out the Gromp and then they go for the fight, it's very easy for 113 to just collapse on the flank and secure himself a kill. We talked about how powerful Trundle is in just those isolated 1v1s. He takes your attack power and he just beats you in the face. He gets bonus attack speed with his W. He's like one of the strongest early game junglers in the game. And Fnatic is punished. So already 600, 500 gold lead for Astralis. We talked about how they do typically have the stronger early game with this composition. rhuckz looking for a bit of a roam, but you have to wonder how this affects Fnatic mentally as well. We saw yesterday, made a bit of a joke on Twitter. It was like, oh, hang on, hook lands.
Hook already onto JeongHoon. He flashes away. He's healed as well, but rhuckz with the flash chase. JeongHoon able to dodge away. The bubble coming out as well. rhuckz has been chunked out here. Razork, oh, look for the denting blows. Couldn't quite find it. 113 waiting in the wings as well. The piercing arrow just short of JeongHoon. They do get the flash and the heal, though, out of the Nami.
113 is here, though, to offer that support. And he's doing a great job in this early game. Just such a good early game plan from Astralis. They know exactly what Fnatic wants to do. They know that they want to try and get this bot lane ahead early, and they've shut it down completely. 2 attempts now, faltering in both instances. Astralis, they came prepared. They still want to compete in the best of 3s next week. And securing a win here would give them a damn good fighting chance at securing that spot.
Yeah, tomorrow they face up against Koi as well. Koi on form so far this week. We'll see how they're doing the match of the week next against G2. But if Astralis can claim this win, then their fate is in their own hands. If they're able to pick out that win tomorrow, they would guarantee our group stage. For the moment, though, it is only a 400 gold lead for Astralis. A few faltering signs from Fnatic in the early game, as we saw yesterday. But now, they haven't fallen too far into a hole.
And again, I will emphasize that Fnatic do still have a pretty good scaling comp overall. I think that they do have potent team fighting power, and their range is going to be very problematic for Astralis with their limited engage later on into the game. But if Astralis can shut them down, rhuckz has no flash.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Well done from rhuckz. Uses the dredge line to make sure he gets away. The heal onto Rekkles. The Rekkles does still have the flash and will invest it.
And they get punished anyway. Rekkles slightly oversteps. No summoner spells in the bot lane. And again, I come back to this idea of mental, because you come in with a game plan, right? Like, maybe we can just relieve some of the pressure bot. We don't even necessarily have to snowball it. We know how powerful Lucian Nami is, but if we can just get a couple summoners, if we can even out the lane a little bit, hell, maybe we can even look for our own 2v2 fights. That would be good. But repeatedly, 113 has either shut it down or made it even harder.
Oh, Wunder underneath the tower. Does have the world ender, which is why Finn, I think, realizes can't really invest any further after using both of his forms of CC.
Top side of the map, though, should be fine. Razork looking for a cross map. But now, the bot lane of Fnatic kind of has to be abandoned. They're in a very difficult spot. Credit to Rekkles, keeping the farm relatively even. Dajor will spot out Razork here. The pings are coming down, but I don't think they can really do much about it. We can see that 113 is currently on his red. Razork doesn't quite have peace of mind of exactly where 113 is, so doesn't want to set up any invade. And he knows that with the push that Dajor has, there is a real risk of a collapse. He's going to move back into his side of the jungle. go for the red, and look at 113. Immediately has his eyes on the opponent's blue. They have the push in bot, they have the push in mid, and they will be spotted out. Really good early game planning here once again from Astralis. I was not expecting this level of play in terms of their early game, but they're using their priority well, and they are punishing this Fnatic bot lane. And this is, for the record, a large reason why you don't see engaged supports.
Yep.
Because junglers just ruin your day.
It's so annoying.
The way that you play around prio, the fact that from level 1, whoever has prio just gives the jungler so much agency, means that when played well, this is what happens.
Yep.
This is why it's so difficult. You're just going to back away from this one. But yeah, that's why you see AD carries, that's why you see ranged. It's just prio is so important in the early game because of how effective high-level junglers can be when they have it.
You want to know the other annoying thing about playing ranged supports?
Might
We'll
not
talk
have
about it in
time.
a little bit as Razork comes up towards the top lane. Now, Finn does have the flash. Bolt Baker charged. Flash away from Finn. World Ender was used by Wunder, but they're just going to shove out this wave. Gives Wunder a recourse to back away. Biffeld started though by 113. He knows that, yeah, Razork is up towards top lane. Razork has been able to get towards level 6, but with Wunder being so low health, it will be hard for Fnatic to chase this. No TP as well, as we see on Wunder. Finn.
And his back gets interrupted. And the wave is in a really awkward spot. So if we could very quickly look at that top wave too. Okay, so it's not perfect. It will still push back. Yeah, Finn's like, yeah, okay, I'm just going to push this wave. It's not a problem. But there was a real risk of a freeze there. Thank you, observers, for highlighting that for us. But yeah, just really good awareness once again from 113. Very impressed with his early game so far. He's been in all the right places at just the right times. He will secure his own blue buff. Actually, earlier, I guess he didn't steal away that early blue buff. I thought that was that whole game plan, but we got a little bit distracted by what was going on in top lane.
I think it was about forcing Rekkles and rhuckz off the wave because then the plate was free for Kobbe down towards that bottom lane. So decided against going for the blue, maybe thought it was a little greed to get both out of it, but because they got the plate, because they have this kill, because they have a few leads across the map, it's a 1,000 gold lead for Astralis 9 minutes into the game. Now 2 minutes on the next Drake. That is likely where Astralis will be looking, and Fnatic trying to set up down towards this bottom side to secure their own jungle.
So 113 has bot side camps to clear. Expectations are that with the push that Astralis do have, they'll look to try and drop the Herald here to funnel more gold into Kobbe to set him up for a stronger mid-game. However, level 6s have come through from Fnatic, and so my expectation is that they would look for a gank here. The problem that they have is Razork now kind of wants to path back up towards top because his Raptors have just respawned and Aatrox is going back to base. Kobbe!
Plants underneath the tower, culling being used as well. Rekkles just stepped a tiny bit further than he wanted to in that lane. Cease and desist a possibility here from Razork, but I think he's just protecting Rekkles as the wave does get cleared out. rhuckz wanted to back because he had Swifties and could refill his warding totem. JeongHoon only has 1 ward on it, only just upgraded it. So he'll place that ward in the river. With a minute 30 on the Drake, I expect we'll see Kobbe and JeongHoon wanting to get a recall off pretty soon so that they can go and spend whatever gold they're sitting on. About 800, 600. It's not gargantuan. It's not going to change the game, but it could be enough for a fight if it does erupt around the second Drake of this match.
Good ward there from Astralis once again. They're just keeping information on that entrance. Razork, props to him, is level 7 right now. Only a little bit ahead of 113. One more camp and he should be able to secure it. Dajor with the push in mid means they can roam into the river once more. And rhuckz is just going to spot out a little bit of vision. Keeping my eyes on the top laners right now. You see a bit of trading happening between the two. Wunder just using that extra Q. Means that Finn will lose a bit of HP, but it's fine. Means Finn gets to move first. Humanoid has his eyes on Dajor.
The slide in, shuffles him back as well. Even though Dajor flashes, no escape for him. The jet jump's going out as well. Dajor trying to get away, but you just can't escape Fnatic. Cease and desist underneath the tower. Now Razork not in the best of shapes as he has the flash. 113 trading back with the subjugate. Tidal wave used as well, just to distract Fnatic for long enough.
So, good play from Fnatic. They're able to get themselves on the kill board, and it happens around mid lane. If you can't find a play in bots, then look elsewhere on the map. One of the advantages of melee supports is they are very potent at roaming and great at setting up for ganks. Dajor, he did flash out of the way, but he didn't quite flash far enough. You'll keep your eyes on Humanoid here. Gets a good ultimate, still scoops up. The Ryze means that there's nothing he can do at this point. He tries to run away, but the chain CC is good. I like the fact that rhuckz, he doesn't hesitate. In solo queue, often what you do is, oh, I'll hold my ult, maybe I can use it for the next target, but he's like, nope, I need enough chain CC. And if they hadn't thrown that out, maybe he actually could have gotten away with his life. But in any case, Astralis back out onto the map first, and they're able to secure another Drake. And it looks like Fnatic, after investing those ultimates, don't want to go for that contest right now.
Humanoid on the Azir, though, has already finished his Leandries. He's only got a 51% win rate on Azir all time, but very well known for the champion, as you said, at Worlds last year. For the first week, at least, was seen as maybe the best mid laner there, definitely in contention for it. As Riftail now put down towards this bottom lane. Every objective has been Astralis's so far. We'll say, Betty, fun fact for you, as this Riftail charges in. Astralis just secured their first Hextech Drake of Winter Split.
Wow. Someone text Trevor immediately. Yeah. He is going to add that to his 734-page document on Dragon Useless Facts. Very much.
You're saying it's useless?
Yeah, I am.
You don't think that was at all useful? I mean, it gave you that little moment of anecdotes.
It was a fun factoid.
True.
Not a useful factoid.
Ah, but by being fun, isn't it inherently useful? Because it provided entertainment into the world.
Nope.
Okay, so you're saying entertainment isn't useful?
Yeah.
Then what are our jobs?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I know, right?
Philosophy.
I think about it a lot.
Yeah. Medic, stop asking those questions, or we might lose it. Okay, Jankos was really good yesterday. Okay, shut up. Look back on the map. He'd say something smart now. Ooh, jungle path. Clever.
Ooh, yes.
So smart. Level 11, Finn.
I will say, interested to see 113 going Radiant Virtue first on the Trundle. Obviously, Subjugate used basically in every single fight, but a lot of the Trundles we see, at least in solo queue, like the Divine Sundra, mostly because it gives you more damage.
Yeah, it's about the damage.
I do understand here, you've got a Lucian and a Ryze and a Gnar, so you have enough damage throughout team fights, but Radiant Virtue not the most common item.
Definitely interesting for sure. We'll see how much value ends up getting out of it during the fights. Keep my eyes as well on the positioning right now of Razork. Yeah, spotted at 113, and it's mainly just to scare off. Well, Razork charging the Q is to scare off 113, but it doesn't matter. The damage done. The tower will go down.
5 plates as well.
Another objective secured. You can see only a 1,000 gold advantage for Kobbe overall. Not the worst position to be in. As Humanoid.
And here's Razork as well into the cease and desist. Dajor just doesn't get a chance to move. After they burnt his flash, they knew Dajor was going to be the punching bag.
A bit of redemption for the mid-jungle of Fnatic after yesterday's performance. A second kill onto Dajor. Razork will be the beneficiary of that one, as they look to get a little bit more chip damage down onto that mid tower, and Razork was able to steal away the blue buff.
Yeah, after what was a very difficult start for Razork, he is ahead in terms of XP, he's ahead in terms of camps. Yes, he's a little bit behind in gold, but as he takes the blue, he actually evens out that. So most of the lead for Astralis that 113 garnered in the couple of early levels has been translated into a bot lane advantage. You can see Kobbe about 700 gold up. But most of what Fnatic have done in the early game has been translated into a mid lane advantage. And you can see a 1.3k gold lead for Humanoid. That is going to be very difficult to deal with as the game goes on, because we did talk about it a little bit in draft. Astralis don't have the strongest engage. And Azir, when he is left to free hit on the backline, is very tricky to deal with.
Yeah, I still do believe that Fnatic have the stronger scaling as the game progresses. And right now, from their perspective, they're in a very good spot. But Astralis have secured every single neutral. This is the second herald that they can use to unlock the map a little bit more. I think that they should have considered throwing it down mid. While I do think that throwing it top can offer value, allows the Ryze to push that wave all the way into the tier 2. The thing that you're going to want to do is try and get to the objective first. Dragon, you're in a really good spot right now. 2 dragons, 4 dragons, Cloud Salt, not the best, but still a potential win condition to work towards, especially with your stronger early to mid game. And by unlocking the mid tower, it gives you easier access into the river, because you can then push that wave in deeper. And again, it's not that pushing in top doesn't give you some options, because you can then commit deeper wards easier into the top side of the map to then potentially threaten a mid lane dive. But with the Dragon spawning in about a minute's time, we'll see how these two square off. Kobbe once again going to move back to mid. We expect to see Finn push out that bot lane. We can see Ryze actually making his way down there as well. No TP available, so the rest of Astralis want to make sure that they stay together. Humanoid going to go back to base. This should mean, with the base, that Astralis actually have first access to the river. I wonder how much chip damage they can get onto this tower. Looks like not very much as Rekkles arrives.
Like I say, we'd clear it out. The lethality Varus doing quite a lot of work. You can see Humanoid sitting at the top of the gold charts right now.
Look at all these wards, though, from Fnatic.
But there's no TPs.
That's a great point.
I mean, they know if anyone's there, but they can't really act on it, Betty.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, a great opportunity for potential flanks, but as you rightly said, no TPs to take advantage of. Humanoid, though, back out on the map, did spend that money.
There's a needlessly large rod alongside his Hextech Alternator on his way to a Shadow Flame. 7 seconds on the Cloud. Drake, third of the game for Astralis if they secure it.
The advantage for Astralis here is they have the push in bot and the push in mid, giving them access to the rim. This is really important with their composition. Slightly shorter range. It's easier for them for Fnatic to walk in. Let's see if they can get a big fight. This is going to determine a lot in this game.
Really on how much damage Kobbe and Dajor can put down in this fight. Infernal Chains sidestepped by 113. Razork now starting up the Dragon. This is where the wards play a big impact. They know Finn's not there. Immediately they engage. Tidal Wave trying to dissuade them. 113 still alive on the backline. Dajor going in as well. And Kobbe with culling is able to take down one. Wunder with one into a 3-man Gnar! Into the realm warp! It's destruction! It's devastation! It's death for Fnatic in the river!
Fnatic fall apart as Kobbe walks away with a triple kill. And for the first time in Fnatic's history, they may not make playoffs. The third Dragon of the game will go into the hands of Astralis. And what a beautiful play from Finn. He was looking for the flank. Fnatic saw that he was looking for the flank, so they went for the engage, but they could not convert it into a good fight. And in the chaos of the fight, Finn found his window and tore Fnatic apart. Have a look at this. They see Finn, they go for the engage, but they engage onto Trundle. He is very tanky. Kobbe is very safe. Dajor then becomes the next target, but this tidal wave from JeongHoon hits onto 5. And then keep your eyes on Finn on the left here as Kobbe picks up that initial pick. He stacks up the Mega on the Dragon, secures onto 3 members, including the backline. And Wunder's left isolated, so Astralis can just focus one target at a time. Incredible play from Kobbe. And just a really good engage from Finn. You can see the elation from JeongHoon. Frustration on his face yesterday. A big sign of relief after their big win. And now Astralis are in prime position to run away with this game. 3 dragons secured. Soul Point available. And Fnatic are going to have to find another miracle fight. They've done it before, but they're being pushed to the very limit.
What a weekend for Finn as well. The Gangplank yesterday went 9-4-2 with almost 1,000 damage a minute. Here, obviously, Gnar's not going to put out those numbers, but he was the game changer in that last fight. He was the reason the fight went so well for Astralis' presence of mind to stack up Mega on the Dragon and not go all the way around as well, because he could have taken the long way around. I think he would have been a little bit late to the party. Probably wouldn't have his Mega Gnar fully stacked. However, still only a 2,500 gold lead for Astralis. Still only a Cloud Soul if they can secure that next Drake. They are in a very strong spot. 2 items on Kobbe. Rod of Ages stacking up for Dajor, and once again, all eyes for the Fnatic faithful turn to this man on your screen right now. Humanoid, Shadow Flame, and Liandry's. Will it be enough? Because he's the only man really fed enough to deal with this Astralis lineup. Still 1,000 gold ahead. Has been funneled a lot during this game. And those soldiers could be the defining factor in the next fight. Probably going to be a couple of minutes on it though. Astralis very willing just to back, reset, get themselves a little bit more gold. Probably look for that second item for Dajor. Seraph's on its way for him. He's already got the tier fully stacked. Will he be betrayed by that item purchase though? Or backstabbed? That's the question we must ask.
Bang is alive.
I couldn't hold myself back.
Pings are coming down onto the objective. Astralis is a little concerned. They don't have the best vision. Can we see the vision from Astralis' perspective, please, observers? So right now you see what Astralis sees, and right now the top side of the river is good. Can we now see what Fnatic sees, observers? And you can see how they do have that one deep ward. They've got one ward in the Dragon Pit, so Fnatic aren't too concerned about it. But they have to still be careful of how quickly Astralis can force this down. 113 has spotted Rekkles.
Rekkles has the flash, Chain of Corruption, uses the flash, blast cones rhuckz away, but the Realm Warp now there, and the Tidal Wave chasing him down, and Rekkles is caught! And Astralis find him. Baron is available to them, and they are making a beeline for it.
Rekkles chooses not to flash into the blue pit. I wonder if... I felt like that he could have, but he ends up losing his life there. The Baron is now an option, and Razork needs to try and steal. Finn's Mega Gnar is going to disappear, and ward has not been cleared just yet.
Once more into the breach for Fnatic. One chance for Razork. Humanoid there, Kobbe going in. Kobbe flashes the Emperor's Divide. Baited and outsmarted. Kobbe takes down the Emperor. And now it's even more difficult for Fnatic. They still have 3 alive. The hook goes wide as Razork can get into the pit, but he's got no flash for at least 20 seconds. And Fnatic realize they have no option to go in. Instead, they must forfeit the Baron. Astralis 4,500 gold ahead. Are looking looking to make their name here in the LEC and for the first time make it to the group stage.
Astralis, zero hesitation. 1-1-3 sees his former teammate and says, that guy's inting, I can kill him. Such great play and great awareness from Astralis. And again, we talked about how this comp is like so reliant on trying to build those early game advantages, but look at Rekkles' positioning right here. Pops the Ghost Blade. I feel like he could have flashed that wall. Like, he chooses to flash upwards instead. Maybe I'm wrong, but he didn't feel confident enough at the very least in the flash. He flashes upwards, pops the Blast Cone, which could have been another avenue of escape for him. And then here we see, look at this play from Kobbe. This man is locked in today. Such great awareness. I definitely would have got hit.
Yeah,
I would have got hit.
Same.
I know everyone in chat, don't lie to me, you're all getting hit by that from Humanoid.
Kobbe has been on his hair this, but I will say one thing for Rekkles, maybe the Realm Warp would have gone to that side of the wall and then he would have been totally isolated. But obviously very hard to make those split-second decisions. Astralis, though, have been doing it very well this game as they start to push down the mid lane. You can see Finn down towards the bottom. He's just going to shove it in that wave. It's going to be at least 2 tier 2s here for Astralis as they clean up one and then work their way down to join their comrade in arms. Finn's still on it. Wunder able to take a tower in the top lane. Objective bounties for Fnatic. But with the Baron still up for 1 minute and 30 seconds, Astralis just doing it by the numbers.
Take a brief pause.
And during that brief pause, let's just remind everyone that the Cloud Drake is up. It looks like Fnatic are going to give this up. And while we see the soul secured for Astralis, I do just want to tell you all, both these teams currently tied for 8th place. The winner obviously goes to 3 and 5. Humanoid caught a little bit here, but he should be able to get away. If Astralis win this and Fnatic win tomorrow and Astralis lose and they're both tied at 3 and 5, they will still play a tiebreaker game for that 8th place, even though Astralis would have the head-to-head. But winning here keeps your fate in your own hands as Astralis tries to make that fate come a little bit quicker. Finn once again with a double knife to the wall into the Aqua Prison. There's just no chance to move, not a second of hesitation. Astralis on the offensive, and Fnatic, all they can do is dash and die and dodge away as Astralis push in for the inhibitor towers.
Fnatic getting closer and closer to the organization's worst split in their history as Astralis dominates the early game. They have their eyes on the Nexus and they are looking for a top 8 spot.
Only 3 minions there, cease and desist on the back line, but immediately Razork is locked up. 2 minions left, only 1 now. Astralis will tank it, but this tower's going to be pretty damn tanky right now, and Astralis realize it. They cannot close it out now. They back away. They don't want what happened to Heretics to happen to them. The game could turn on a knife edge still, but an 8,000 gold lead for Astralis makes it very difficult for Fnatic to find any purchase.
Astralis, they have not had the best season. There was not much faith in their ability to secure top 8. Everyone expected them to finish bottom 2. But at the end of the day, when you win the games that matter, that's all it takes. And Astralis have shown up today against Fnatic. With the Baron buff, they set up the siege onto this bot tier 2. And just have a look at this. Great pillar, sets up nicely for the follow-up with the Nami ultimate. JeongHoon's ultis have been spectacular this game. The 2-man wall stun from Finn. Just the chain CC is flawless. You can see Humanoid. Wow, great sidestep from 113. Didn't notice that in the initial fight, but able to avoid it from Humanoid. That ultimate doesn't land onto anyone. And now 11 kills to 2. Astralis are looking to send Fnatic to a 2-6 scoreline.
Inhibitor open in the mid lane, that will be down for 3.5 minutes. No Baron for Astralis makes the push a little bit more difficult. Obviously Rekkles with the piercing arrow will be able to clear out the way pretty quickly. Humanoid now joining up with his team. Finn is down towards the bottom lane. Kobbe's just going to use the culling here, but maybe a cease and desist from Razork. Kobbe overstepping perhaps. The tidal wave though distracts the rest of Fnatic. They can't get close and Razork's gone way too deep. Astralis will cull him. Kobbe now unstoppable on the Lucian. And you could see what Fnatic were thinking, but again, the tidal wave from JeongHoon just makes it impossible for you to ever advance.
113 with the pillar as well. Astralis have just done a great job of creating those spaces for their carries to do just that. The round 1 flank is coming in from Dajor.
Dajor trying to get in behind him, immediately hooked, but look, he just doesn't take any damage. Wunder already down the stopwatch is trying to buy time, and rhuckz has to flash for the safety of the fountain. But he will not sup of a victory today. Astralis looking to claim their 3rd win in the Winter Split. Fnatic on their way to their worst ever performance, and Finn will bury them underneath the ground of their own Nexus. Astralis will claim victory and secure themselves at least a tiebreaker for groups.
incredible performance from Astralis from start to finish. Their early game planning, their execution, their team fighting. Very little to fault across the board as Fnatic falls short once more. Of course, Fnatic not completely out yet. But their road to groups has now become that much harder.
A win tomorrow and an Astralis loss could still give Fnatic a tiebreaker game, but they are relying on Astralis or Koi losing and them winning. They have to win tomorrow as well. And against SK, although SK haven't had the best of weeks, it is a mammoth task for
Especially
Fnatic.
when you look at how Fnatic just have not looked good in Winter. Astralis, both teams needed to clutch up today, and Astralis went above and beyond in terms of their performance. From start to finish, they had full control over the game, and you feel like that if they would have a tiebreaker, Astralis would be the heavy favorites coming into that matchup.
Obviously, things can shift day to day, but right now, Astralis looking like the much stronger team. Great performance by them on the day. And great performance by them yesterday as well, because remember, they wouldn't have been in this position if they didn't clutch up yesterday against SK as well.
Very true.
Finn's Gangplank barrels, Finn's ults today.
I mean, what a weekend for Finn, am I right? That three-man Gnar ultimate he was able to find in
and
the
we're
river.
not just saying that because he's standing on the stage ready for an interview and he can hear us. He is one of your player of the game votes at LEC on Twitter, Finn113 and Kobbe.
I mean, those three players, all great options. 113, Red Razork, like a book this game. His early game was phenomenal. Kobbe, of course, on the Lucian, completely locked in. He was playing Call of Duty that game. That man was not missing heads. And then, of course, Finn with his great team fighting, great options.
I think Kobbe plays Call of Duty a lot differently than I do, because I miss a lot of heads when I play Call of Duty. I see trouble standing by with Finn, so take it away.
Thank you very much, Medic and Finn. Welcome, congratulations for the win as well. You know what, at the beginning of the split, people were saying, nah, Astralis look a little bit shh. And it seems like in the past 2 games, you took that personally?
Well, I never thought we would be bad, honestly. I think coming into the year, we had really good results in scrims, so I had actually quite high hopes. But the first 5 days were for sure disappointing. I felt like we were all in disarray, and the plays we did want to do didn't really work out. But we really came into our own, I think, these last few days. And it's really happy to see that we stuck together. We had a lot of really rough days, but we still believed in each other and we pushed through.
Absolutely, and you had a phenomenal performance yesterday, 1v9 with Gangplank. But here it seemed like you guys all played incredibly together, top, bot, mid, everything. What has actually clicked this week?
Well, I think we just understand each other better and we know how to win games, if that makes sense. I think in the past, I think everyone was kind of running around doing their own thing, kind of like headless chickens. And we were playing with so much stress every game because we felt like one more loss and we're out, one more loss and we're out. But now we just kind of all let loose. We just play the game we know and love. It's a lot more fun playing nowadays than it was. And yeah, we just enjoy the game a lot more now.
So you let loose, you have fun, and you take some W's on your way.
Yeah.
Now, of course, coming up, Koi is going to be playing versus G2, and you guys are playing Koi tomorrow as well. And it's one very important game because they're trying to get into the top 8. You're trying to get into the top 8. Thoughts on Koi?
Yeah, Koi is really good. Obviously, they're the reigning champions. They have my boy Larsen in the mid lane, so they're always going to be a strong contender. They have been looking a little bit shaky, but they really came to their own yesterday. I think they had a great draft yesterday to their strengths, and I think if they can keep drafting to their strength, they can keep getting Ws, but if they will keep being experimental, then they might struggle.
All right, so I'm hearing a lot of Koi depends on their draft a lot.
Yeah.
Without revealing too much, what does Astralis rely on?
Me? No. We rely on good vibes, yeah.
Okay, so good vibes.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say for everyone who believed in Astralis, even on the bad days?
Yeah, the one person that believed in us, thank you. We're still here, we still want to play, and I think we have more to show.
Well, Finn, thank you very much. Congrats again on the win. Good luck for tomorrow. And we're going to toss it to some voice comms for that game.
Wow.
But we need to start it now?
Yeah, my mega is not pop. Like, I'm far from mega.
Okay.
I can start stacking it now.
Okay, slow down.
Put it out. Keep doing it. Make them come in. Oh, it got reset.
Oh, in poke.
No, I'll walk around, okay?
Yeah.
7k.
I'm walking around.
Wait. Now you put track. We just fight.
Yeah. Just walk around.
First
target. First target. I'm stacking mega.
I'm fine. Yeah. I'm fine.
Go chase them all.
Aatrox.
Okay.
Okay. Nice Finn.
Okay, calm down, calm down. That was hype, but we calm down now. We get the Drake and push up mid.
Finn, man.
Can I TP top?
And welcome back to this side of the studio for more on this game versus Astralis and Fnatic. Kobbe, thank you for joining us on this one. Congrats on taking down Fnatic. We just listened to the comms right now. Tell me about this play and the communication in general, because listening to this right now felt super clean.
Yeah, the communication was very laid back, I would say.
Yeah.
We tried to not put any pressure on ourselves because we're not like Fnatic where people expect us to win all the time. So it's a lot easier to play, I think. And from that fight, I actually remember the comms different because I saw Finn did this insane play and I was kill stealing everything and I thought I could get a pentac, but it didn't go that way. That was a great game.
No, I mean, Finn played that super well because he was looking for the flank and then also stacked up like 3 autos on Drake, which gave him Mega, so he could actually get the 3-4-man ult into the wall. I also thought his comms through that fight were also just really good.
It was really, really good.
And then told you guys to relax a bit at the end because you guys are getting a little hype.
Yeah, as I said, it was very laid back just from the level 1 and everything. There were a few things that could go wrong in early game, but as soon as we killed the enemy jungler and it felt like a slow, stable game, we were very comfortable with the picks we got. So.
All right. I want to talk a bit more about Astralis bouncing back these last games. The one yesterday against SK, today against Fnatic. Finn was talking about the fact that you guys never felt that you were bad, which is a good thing. I mean, confidence still. But what was missing from the trainings and scrim that didn't translate on stage and that is starting to show up now?
A lot of things. So we prepared really early for this split, like in November, December, and I would say we had a good level in scrims. But week 1 came and our level was, I mean, official games hit and it's just a different game. Like players, teams, they act and play different. So I think we just need to get used to that. But even with that said, we had some struggles the following weeks in scrims and with improvement. And yeah, it's kind of a blessing we're starting to win games now because it's really what we need to get back like in a good mood and just to move on.
Yeah, and right on time, if I may say, given the difficulties of the schedule and the fact that you only have 3 weeks to make a difference. I want to talk about what I saw from you in the makeup room yesterday. You looked a bit down, not beaten, of course, because competitor that you are, of course, you were motivated. But how do you feel now after these 2 games?
I feel a lot better now because we played 2 games on stage and it showed me that it just gives me faith, basically.
Yeah, cool.
Because sometimes in scrims you get confidence from it, but when everything goes downhill on stage, it's very easy to get dragged down with that. And as I said, we had a very rough period, a lot of frustrations in scrims, and I think the past week we just tried to like be happier and like maybe, I mean, we didn't do that much to get outside of the game, but I think we're improving on that. But just try to be a bit more loose with our play and don't put pressure on ourselves just because we're playing well in practice. So that has helped a lot.
Would you say that there's like any one player on the team in particular that's like helping like keep spirits high and whatnot? Like whether it's in the week or in the game, stuff like this?
It's a bit mixed. I think we bounce off each other well. We're joking around everyone. I wouldn't say myself really. Maybe Finn. Like Finn, he has. I don't know the English word for it, but when he's happy, it's like it affects the other players a lot.
Yeah. It's wait, now I know what you're trying to say though.
I don't even have it in French right now, but it's fine. English is
it's
language.
Infectious.
Infectious, yeah, infectious,
but
like smells. But yeah, focusing a bit more on the game here. When we talked about what was necessary for Astralis here, we talked about the early game, especially saying don't int the early game. And here, Ender, I think the draft made sense in that way.
Yeah, I mean, also they got the early kill in the enemy jungle, but yeah, I sort of like I was curious to see the Heimerdinger just like go kind of untouched because you guys wanted the Lucian Nami, which looked really good for you, especially against like engaged support on the other side that wasn't able to find any sort of early fight up against you, but also the fact that you were able to get like Ryze first, like you got Ryze and Lucian Nami. Like I can't imagine you were unhappy at all with those first three.
No, I said in the draft after the first rotation, like first 3 picks on each side, that I'm happy with this draft, guys. I think we got everything we wanted, and that's also why, like, even though Heimerdinger is kind of OP, like last time we played Lucian Nami, it went super well for us, so I was just happy to play that again.
Yeah, it also seems like Fnatic as a bot lane isn't one, like they ban the Heimerdinger like almost all the time. I was surprised that they didn't ban it this game, so they also don't really seem like a bot lane that wants to go that route. And instead, like I was expecting to see like Varus has been a recent good pick for Rekkles, the Nautilus too, Nautilus Leona, these types of ideas for rhuckz. But I think that like as soon as you are able to like get free prio in bot lane and then the invade happens, like there's just nothing they can ever really do to you down there.
Yeah, I actually think the matchup they opted into is not bad for them. Wait, what was I going to say? I kind of forgot. But we have Lucian Nami. If we just farm even until I have Gale Force, Serrated Dirk, just first power spike, then I think our champions just do a lot more than theirs. And that's also why like laning phase when kind of even nothing happened. Didn't expect us to push so easily though from level 1, but it was pretty useful for the invade, yeah.
A couple words on mid lane also maybe, because following up on the point we discussed before the game, setting Dajor on a pick that can impact the rest of the map, and I think that's basically what Ryze wants to do also, being able to impact the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, strong team fighter later on as well, impact sides. I think like the main thing Fnatic did after like the early plays like went pretty poorly, they were able to find a couple of looks toward mid lane to try and shut him down. So I liked that option for them to try and get something going back in their favor. But it seemed like once you guys grouped up, because it really was just like that main fight around the Drake, you guys didn't even really have to like play super aggressively through sides or anything with the Ryze. You just out team fought them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the game was somewhat even before that fight, but after that fight, it's over for them basically when we get so many kills. I think it was third Drake as well.
Yeah. Oh, because you got the first 2, right? With bot.
Yeah, we got the first 2 kind of uncontested and Herald as well. So it was, I mean, I'm not really sure what happened from their side. Maybe the game was just hard to play after what happened in the jungle and stuff. But after the Drake fight, there's not much they can do.
Certified Fin diff.
Yeah, so once again.
Stamped. Sealed.
So that's 2 for you, Kobbe. Third one tomorrow. How is the confidence level now for you and the rest of the team?
Just good, I would say.
Amazing.
A lot better than previous weeks. Or maybe just last week. So we have Koi tomorrow. I think they're a good team, but it's an important match for us. I think if we win, we can at least secure top 8. So yeah, I don't see a reason why we shouldn't win.
Well, best of luck. You're on a roll here. And if you win against Koi, you're locked in top 8, actually. No tiebreakers, no nothing. But that's the story for tomorrow. Thank you, Kobbe, for joining us. And after the break, we'll have our match of the week between G2 Esports and Koi, where Koi can lock top 8 with a win here. Do not go anywhere.